Hello, guys, and welcome in the fifth session of the AI for Climate Activists. Today, we are going to tackle the digital security in AI-powered environments. Um, Today's objectives are basically to define how AI changes surveillance from metadata versus content. Master the one second, please. I need to. Activated the DND. Thank you. Master the threats, modeling mindset, implementing advanced encryption, and develop a strong digital hygiene habits. So, um, a quick recap from the session 3 and session 4. So it's bias and colonialism. We learned that AI systems are often biased in the session 3 and are built in model of data extraction that mirrors colonialism in session number 4. Today we are going to learn about weaponized surveillance, how that extraction or that extracted data is used to power automated surveillance. Um, we move from the theory to practical of high level defenses. Let's dive straight into that. The old surveillance, which is the content, is slow, expensive, and required a human to read your context of what you wrote, what you posted, or whatever it is, what you said. So it is basically limited by language and grammar. Um, The new threat is the AI surveillance, which is the metadata that is fast, cheap, and automated. It ignores the content. It has nothing to do with the words that you actually wrote, but it analyzes the patterns, metadata, to find threats. So who you talk to, when do you talk to that people or person, where are you when you are talking to them, and how often you contact someone. So even if a message is perfectly encrypted, that's end-to-end encryption, the AI still knows who is organizing, who is receiving funds, and who is meeting with whom by just analyzing the surrounding traffic data. So it is that new threat that we have to defend ourselves from. So let's dive into the art of thinking like a threat. So let's get introduced to the OPSEC, which is the operational security, the mindset that we have to have. It is basically the practice of protecting processes and habits, not just files, not just accounts, but we protect the processes and our patterns. So it's a culture of awareness. And next on is the analogy of the locked door. So basically, imagine that you have the strongest lock on your door, which is the end-to-end encryptions, but you talk loudly outside your neighbor's window, and that's bad operational security. So the lock is useless because the process of the meeting was exposed. So imagine that you have your door locked, but you're still through a magnetophone or something, a microphone and a speaker, loudly through your window, through your neighbor's window. That's dumb. The practice here, the activist principle is always assume that your communications are being monitored, and so this will force you to minimize the exposure of sensitive information and decision making processes. That's one thing that you should always keep in mind. Let's dive into the threat modeling, and we know who the enemy is and what is the goal. So, the enemy or the adversary, you have to ask the question of who wants to harm me. For example, the state police, a certain corporation, a rival political group, a polluting company, for example, and stuff like that. The assets are what specific information do they want? The protest plan, the members list, the funding source, um, everything that any piece of information that they can use against you. And the vulnerability is how can they get it? So, for example, unencrypted chat, public Wi-Fi, all software, or an insider. Unfortunately, you do have a spy inside of your organization. A discussion here that I encourage you to have with your peers is take that scenario. You are planning a secret mobilization to stop a new oil pipeline. So, based on your threat model, which is that, who is the adversary? What is the key asset to protect? So, for example, is it the protest itself? Maybe the day, the location, the list of attendees, whatever it is. So, yeah, try to have this conversation, this discussion, and let us know about the outcome of it. Moving on to defense tactics, protecting your conversations. So, end to end encryptions. Um, it is mandatory that we get off WhatsApp and whatever um, metaverse or Facebook company um, owned communication channel. So use Signal for all sensitive or political groups, maybe also Telegram, why not? It offers superior metadata minimization compared to WhatsApp, which actually does collect data for Facebook. And then Mark Zuckerberg unfortunately sells it. And yeah, the two-factor authentication, which is a crucial barrier. Always enable the 2FA on every account, whether it's email, whether it's social media, whether it's cloud storage, communication channel, or whatever it is, especially if you are oftenly using public Wi-Fi. And last but not least, device hardening. So use some physical control. Use strong, complex passcodes, biometrics on your phone and computer. Do use your facial recognition, maybe fingerprint, iris scanner, some strong password that contains different characters and stuff like that for your computer and mobile phone. The defense tactics of minimizing the digital trace now is masking location with VPN, use a trusted virtual private network, ExpressVPN, VIP72, NordVPN, or yeah, IPVanish, stuff like that. These are all some VPNs that you can use and quite cheap when researching sensitive topics, connecting to public Wi-Fi's, and also if you need bypassing censorship. Um, Browser and identity separation. Use a separate browser always and a dedicated anonymous email. Um, you can use Tor. Tor is a very, very, very impressive browser, VPN included into it. So, for instance, Tor is basically used usually to access some deep web or dark web websites. An instance, it's a purple onion, and always it does use .onion instead of .com. So, for instance, Facebook.onion instead of Facebook.com, or Firefox with privacy extensions. So you can use that. And you can use Proton Mail for anonymous emailing. And a digital detox. So take that an action. Regularly go through your digital life and delete all data, dormant account, or unnecessary photos and documents that you no longer need, especially if they are online. Because nowadays, companies such as Facebook can use your dormant account if it have any pictures or whatever it is and it will use this data or sell this data to AI companies to have the machine learning happening through this data. So yeah, do use that. So reflection: where are we giving power again and again? What are practices and actions that you were making you vulnerable? So yeah, reflect on that. Try to come up clean to yourself and stop doing these practices. Takeaways: the main things that you have to keep in mind are: upset is a mindset, operational security is a mindset. Always question the process, not just the tool. Metadata matters the most. Content nowadays is saying, dare I say, is less important to monitor rather than the process, the patterns themselves. So always guard the who, when, and where of your communication like it is gold. And defense is layered. So use a combination of tools, VPN, end-to-end encryptions, two-factor authentications, and stuff like that to create high barriers. And the core principle is it is just like boxing. So lowering your guard gets you to risk your game and a punch in the face. No one wants to be punched in the face. Um, so next step, turn on your two-factor authentication. Set up authentication on your primary email and social media accounts. There are applications such as the Google authentication. There is LastPass. There are a lot of authentication apps that you can use, and migrate one chat from WhatsApp to Signal or Telegram um, this week. So yeah, coming up next is the ethical AI for activists and civil society. We're gonna learn about how it is ethical or how to make sure it is ethical. So thank you so much. Tune in to powertovoices.org for the next session and for updates and for similar trainings. Please, if you have any sort of questions, do reach out. You are very much welcomed. And yeah, leave us feedback. Thank you.